Welcome back, it's me Lou, and I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are looking at this. It comes from Hasbro. It is the new Ghostbusters action figure, and more specifically we are looking at Peter Venkman. So this is a much more cartoony caricature of actor Bill Murray, and I don't know, I think it's a really great character. I did a preview video where I showcased all four of the core team while they were still mint on card. And if you haven't seen that video, go check that out. So this video is going to be a little bit more specific, where we're just going to focus on this guy solo. And it's a great looking toy. So let's get to it. Alright, so right off the bat, the package design is awesome. Bright, colorful packaging. It really stands out on the shelves. The upper left-hand corner, we have the very classic and iconic Ghostbusters symbol. And behind it, we have the hazard colors, which are very reminiscent of what you saw on the ghost traps. The figure is framed beautifully in the middle of the bubble. And on the left side, we have his Proton Pack. And to the left of the character, to his left, we have the Ghost Accessory. Now, this style of Ghost is also paired with the Race Dance action figure. The only difference is that the Ghost that comes with Ray is a different color. Over here, we kind of have the play feature. And we have the 1984 Classic Seal to let you know this is representing the 84 incarnation of the Ghostbusters, the original ones. Really enjoy this really cool artwork here. Every character has a unique illustration on the lower left corner. On the back, we have the play feature shown off again, and we have a very brief description of Peter Venkman. The fast-talking Peter Venkman is ready to face the spookiest ghouls around. So that sums up Peter, and let's get to the action figure itself. Okay, first impressions of the action figure while it's still in its tray. It's a wonderful figure. There's one thing that really sticks out and annoys me, and I've said this before in the previous videos of these figures, is that I think it's a beautiful sculpt. The details are awesome, but I think they could have done more with the facial expressions, more so with Peter. A lot of the characters in this wave, they have very neutral faces. They're kind of just very blah and just kind of just staring at you. You look at the character artwork here. This really embodies the spirit of what the character is supposed to be. In the movies, Bill Murray as Peter Venkman, he's very charismatic, very charming. Like the box says, he's a fast talker. But the minute you look at this figure and look at his facial expression, he's just kind of like... It's like he couldn't be bothered with anything. He looks very serious. Nothing about his face is fun, even though he's like the most entertaining of all the characters. I think it'd been awesome if they really went this route and kind of gave us a facial expression that kind of bordered on this. He looks slightly mischievous. He looks very charming. He has that look in his eyes like he's up to no good, and it's awesome. But then you come around and this figure, the skin tone's very pale, and he looks like, I was about to say, it looks like he kind of just saw a ghost. So yeah, even though the face could use some work, don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on it. I think these are wonderful action figures. So we have, first we have the Proton Pack. This is an identical accessory that you'll find with all the team members. I've said this before, I kind of wish they'd give you a little bit more paint application, but this is a budget toy, and at this price range, you can only expect so much. And the fact that they gave us a cool Proton Pack, an action figure, and the Ghost Accessory, all for within the $9.99 to $10.99 price range, I think that's a fabulous deal. There's a tab here, and you can plug this in, which provides for some storage, which is nice. Or you can mount it on the tab up here. It would have been cool if they gave us an additional accessory, like maybe the goggles or the ghost trap or the streams. But for the very bare minimum, you know, this is all Peter really needs. So here we have Peter Venkman. Great figure. The sculpting, the design, the engineering, it's a nice callback to the old figures. You know, you hold this, it feels like one of the original figures from like the 80s or 90s. But with that being said, the articulation is very limited. He only has 5 points of articulation. So we have his head, which is 1 point. You know, his arms rotate, that's 2 and 3. And then his legs kick, that's 4 and 5. But he's not meant to be any more than what he is. This is a budget figure. It's a throwback. So the articulations is expected to be as limited as it is. The original figures were very limited. You know, they only had 5 points of articulation. But for what you're getting, the paint application is clean. It's very evident on his badge, his name. The letters are very clear. The Ghostbuster logo on his shoulder is nice and crisp. There's no excess bleeding. The sculpting is beautiful, even though it's much more of a cartoon aesthetic. For what details there are, they're sculpted really well. The folds are nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful figure. So don't be turned off by the fact that this is a budget toy. You know, if you're into the more premium line of action figures like the Plasma series, or if you collect Star Wars, Black Series, or G.I. Joe Classified, you know, I still think this is worth a look-see, especially if you're a fan of the Ghostbusters. You know, I can't stress this enough. Even if you grew up with the actual original movies and the cartoon, and you had those toys, you know, I think this is a must get. So yeah, excellent action figure. As we look at the Ghost accessory, this is the same Ghost that you're gonna find with Rey. The only thing different is the color scheme. I think this one has the much more superior color scheme because they color in all the face details. So he has kind of like almost like a Slimer-esque head, but he has these tendrils on both sides of his body. He's kind of very slug-like, almost kind of looks like a small Jabba the Hutt, but with like multiple arms. So he has, in terms of his play feature, there's a button on his back. You press this, and it splits him open. And then there's like a tongue that kind of rotates. For me, it's kind of reminiscent of the Sarlacc pit from Return of the Jedi. Very cool that Hasbro includes a ghost accessory with your Ghostbusters. So they actually have ghosts they can actually hunt. And it's another figure to add to your collection of ghosts. And it'll help you fill out your shelf. Especially figures like these. You know, these are smaller. You know, if you have a lot of negative space on your toy shelf and you kind of want to fill it up, it's nice to kind of have these like scatter toys. You know, they don't take up too much room. You can like put them on the ground next to your figures, and it kind of fills out the space a little bit better. And since we're speaking about retro figures and retro design, let's bring out this guy. So this is the Peter Venkman figure. This was the re-release that was exclusive, I believe, to Walmart that came out last year. Also produced by Hasbro. So this is kind of like a throwback to the old Kenner toys from the early, was it 80s or late 90s, maybe early 90s to late 80s. I believe this is when these figures came out. I don't remember when the toys came out specifically. I do remember watching the cartoon. I believe I was probably in junior high at the time, and I always got a kick out of them. So yeah, here's Peter Venkman. He's much more cartoony. His likeness looks nothing like actor Bill Murray. Where this one kind of looks like Bill Murray, it even has his receding hairline, which I get a kick out of. It's a cool little detail. So yeah, these older figures, you know, back in the day, they'd only have 5 points of articulation. They didn't do a whole lot. So this figure, it's kind of nice because it's kind of an homage to the old Kenner figures, but at the same time, they kind of pull in the likeness and the realism of the movies, but give it a slight twist and make it look a little bit more cartoony. And on the subject of the movies, we have this guy, the much more premium collectible. This is Peter Venkman in the likeness of actor Bill Murray, and this is from the Hasbro Ghostbusters Plasma series. Much more premium action figure, and since it's a premium toy, you're going to expect a lot more out of it, and it delivers. It has more articulation. It has better paint application and more paint application. If you collect stuff like Marvel Legends or the Star Wars Black Series figures, this is something you'll relate to. It's nice that these figures, I believe that, you know, if you're a fan of Ghostbusters and you display these on a shelf, I think there's no reason why you can't display all of them together. You know, it's almost generational. You know, you have the original old school figure, you kind of have this mid school figure, and then you kind of have this new school figure. It's kind of like they take the best of both worlds, you know, the original and the newer figure, and they kind of meet somewhere in the middle, and you get something like this. So I can't stress it enough. If you're a Ghostbuster fan, I really think you kind of need this figure. For one, it's very affordable. It's easy to complete the set. And it just looks really nice. It's a nice desk toy. It'll look good on a display shelf. Or if you have kids who like playing with toys and, you know, they're fond of the Ghostbusters, you know, this is a great action figure. You know, it's recommended for kids ages 4 and up. You know, with the amount of articulation it has and the accessories, you know, it's right up the alley for the, you know, for the younger kids. Now, if I had to rate this figure numerically on a scale of 1 through 10, an easy 8 or, you know, a very low 9. It does what it's supposed to do. It's you know, it's supposed to be a throwback to the older figures, but at the same time it pulls in the likeness of the movies. It's fun, it's cool. I know I enjoy this a lot. So yeah, I highly recommend it. So let's wrap this video up. As I stated earlier, there was a preview video where I showcased all 4 of the core team members in Ecto 1 while they're still mint on card. So give that video a look-see. But until the next video, take care. Go out to the stores, hunt some toys down, and, you know, just have a good time. And I'll talk to you later.